Welcome, everyone, to the Caregiver Coffee Hour with your host, Gabby and Kelly. and we are here today with our main two caregivers, Leanne and Cami. And we're just kind of here to just chat and get to know them and any other caregivers on the call. So we're going to start off with Leanne and Cami. Just give us your name, how long you've been a caregiver, brief description about you and your role. This is recorded and this will be posted. So if anyone has any issues, please do not hesitate to reach out to us as we can obviously go around that hurdle.
Cam, you want to start first? Me?
No, you go.
Okay. So hi everyone. My name is Liana Rodriguez. I am the caregiver to my husband, Joel. He is a C5, C6 quadriplegic. He was injured in July of 2014, so coming up on 6 years. And my role as a caregiver, I was barely gonna make it online to this call right now. No, just a little bit of everything. I think as the role as a caregiver, we find that we wear a lot of hats. We do a little bit of everything. My husband is involved in a lot of adaptive sports, so we do a ton of traveling and just living life, but going through everyday obstacles. So through the years, he's become, pretty self-sufficient in, with his function, but there's those everyday struggles that he needs a hand with, and obviously personal care and stuff like that. So I'm also a mom, so I wear that role as well. We have a 3-year-old son, so we juggle a lot and stuff, but yeah, that's that.
Wow, that was great. My name's Cami Koblenz. I'm a caregiver. I don't know if I can follow that one well. I'm really nervous. Okay, so I'm a caregiver for my boyfriend. I've been a caregiver for about 4 years. He got hurt 2011. And did you hear his injuries already?
No.
He's a double amputee. He's missing some other parts. He is amazing and my inspiration for every day. I wear a lot of different hats like Leanne. Pretty much, I don't even know where to, I'm going to stop.
Bobby?
Hey, good morning, everybody. So my name is Bobby Silva. I'm a peer support coordinator for Region 10. So basically, I cover the Pacific Northwest, and I'm also covering California, Nevada, and Hawaii. Hopefully, I'll be able to go TDY down there, especially Hawaii, just to see what it's like. But what I do is I work with the caregivers. I kind of help them find resources to help kind of get them through their new role, or if they've been doing it for some time, to find different options for them on some of the things that they may be having challenges with. The region, we have 10 regions, just so you know. So anywhere from the East Coast to the West Coast is covered as far as a caregiver, peer support coordinator. And so we're out there to help anybody within the United States. Thank you.
Thank you, Bobby. And I also wanted to just open this floor time to any other caregiver that might be on the call. If they wanted to introduce themselves, please do not feel like you have to. If you would like to, name how long you've been a caregiver for and any information, just kind of, anything that you want to share. We do have a couple questions prompted and some that were sent in to me. So the first one is just tell us a typical day-to-day life of being a caregiver. And I don't know, since we started with Leanne, I guess we could start with Leanne and go to Cami if you guys are comfortable with that.
That's fine. So typical day in the life of a caregiver. Again, our life is very sporadic, as you guys heard briefly. We live on the East Coast. We live in Florida. And we are currently in California right now, still social distancing, quarantining from our vehicle and staying away from everybody during this time. But we've definitely been home for 2 months, and that is a huge stretch for us. That is not like us at all. Even my 3-year-old son was going bonkers at home and ready to get out. But a typical day in our life is, wake up, have breakfast, plan for a day if we have to do any errands. And then, as I said, my husband is very into adaptive sports and very competitive. So our life revolves around, doing some sort of training and staying active. So helping him with whatever needs he needs. If it's helping him tape up for typically rugby, that's his main sport. So helping him if he needs any help in his rugby chair or taping up or doing any of that. And then typically if we're out and about, like in another city or state, it's just going through life obstacles of barriers of sidewalks and stuff like that, and helping. And then obviously with appointments, he does drive, so he's able to drive and stuff, so he doesn't need help there. And I mean, just honestly, just a lot of training, like I said, and going through, I don't know, everyday stuff. Our life revolves around sports, so that's typically what we're doing.
Hi, my turn. Our typical day, Isaac is a gamer, so he's usually up really late. Gaming it is one of his best tools. It also helps keep him off of medication. It's the place that focuses him and recenters him. So we're really not morning people. We adapt to that kind of life. Other than that, it's sports. Getting up, um, there's a certain amount of mental health from day to day, from month to month, that kind of is nurtured and supported through each day. Our life is very fluid and very transitional. We take all of our wins when we can, and when we don't have any, we just make one.
That's definitely a great way to put it. And that really rolls into the next question that I have is, what have you learned about yourself from the caregiving experience, or what strengths have you noticed about yourself during this time?
So I guess me first, right, for all the questions. I think just exactly what our life is. It's just being adaptable, figuring out stuff on the fly, and just, I think for me, it's weird as a caregiver to kind of praise myself, but just how much you can do, how many roles you can play, multitasking. I think, hats off to women in general. Yes, there are male caregivers, but moms, wives, we have a special way, I think, of being able to just multitask and just do things and figuring out. And so I am typically one that I want to praise my husband for everything he does, because like Cami said, they, as much as most of them don't want to hear that they're an inspiration and they're motivational, it's the truth. And so, but in the question of how do you see yourself as a caregiver and what you found to adapt, is just being adaptable and being able to just, there's a problem, there's 1,000 things going wrong. What are we going to do to fix this one? How do we fix it? And let's move on, and let's find the good in the next thing, and continue to challenge ourselves.
That's a great answer. Mine, what I've learned for myself as being a caregiver is that I'm pretty selfish when it comes down to it. But this is my 4th year in. So during my 3rd year, I was very not selfish, and I did not take self-care very seriously, and I ended up in a really bad situation. And it took a lot of help for me to get out of that situation and pull myself up, and my veteran also helping me pull myself up. But your own mental health is your own responsibility. And if your own mental health is not up to par, you cannot be an efficient caregiver. You can't show love. You can't accept love. It's very, very difficult. Communication. I was a good communicator. I see where I have a lot more communication to work on, and the communication changes. The communication is fluid all the time too. So things that work, how you can approach a situation, like Liana said, like things can be going crazy, and if you remain calm and know that they're just a way to adapt, and still everybody's happy, it becomes healthy instead of toxic.
for sure.
And all wonderful points, ladies. And it really sounds to me, this is Kelly, it sounds to me when I'm listening to you guys have to stay so positive and optimistic and encouraging and motivating and adaptable, as you said. What do you guys do when you wake up and have days where you're just not feeling that way?
I think in anyone's life, it's normal, right, to have a day where it's just like, geez, everything is going wrong. And I think having a partner where you're, like Cami said, supporting one another. There's going to be days where I'm like, this is like, we got way too much going on, or 1,000 wrong things happen because of injury, and trying to find the silver lining and being able to say, okay, today you're having a crap day. I'm going to be positive for you. And then when I'm having one, you have, and of course, that's not always the case. Sometimes it's both of us and we're like, this just sucks. Like, but trying to find the good in it, picking up and saying, okay, what's to look forward to? What are we doing, next week? What are we doing tomorrow? Today sucked, but let's move on. And again, that's not easy. It's easy to sit here and say that when everything is great, right? Obviously, in my case, having a kid, I can't sit in the suck of, okay, I could, but my kid lights up my day, and his smile, and having the support system that I have, my family as well. I think just knowing that you have to continue, not only for the person you're caring for, but for yourself, just like Cami said, that mental health. And it's okay to say this day sucked. It's okay to be, annoyed and frustrated and mad at the situation that you may be in. But in order to live that life, to be positive, you have to know that things are going to get better, and look forward to wanting it to be better, because life can be good.
That's a great answer. I find that when I wake up and I'm having a really hard time, or there's like, if I get depressed or I'm in a situation that I can't handle, I find how our partnership works is when I'm really strong and he may not be strong, like I take over, but when I'm not strong, like he will take over. And that's all the support and independence, that it also provides a great way to connect, and a great way to, I don't know, for you not to carry all the weight on your shoulders. All the things that I do is, like, I buy books, I get references from people. Talking feeds my soul. So talking to a friend or helping somebody else out with their problem. But like Liana said, there's a thing where you put everything down and put them first. I've learned to compartmentalize a little bit. What I figured out through self-care is, once you compartmentalize, you still need to revisit it and go back and give yourself what you need, and you're responsible for that too.
Yeah, sure.
So it's interesting because we always talk about the weaknesses and the strengths that caregivers have in their role now. But before you were even a caregiver, what was your life like, and what was the biggest adjustment from your before life to your now life?
So my husband got hurt the day before his birthday. He was active duty. We were living in Fort Rucker, Alabama. And I was in my last semester of nursing school. So he got hurt, and we were kind of in a transition. We were on orders to move back overseas. So we were in like a standstill. We were constantly busy, him with, his job, and me with between, school. I was, like I said, in my last semester, so a ton of preceptorship and in the hospital. So we were nonstop, but just, focused in school and work and in another transition. So kind of weird timing, because I wasn't quite where I was planning. I felt like right there at the finish line. And in fact, he got hurt. I had to go back, I don't know, like 3 weeks or 2 weeks after he got hurt, to go back to take my finals. We were literally like 3 weeks away from graduating. So it was definitely a different time, because I was just about to start my career and what I wanted to do. But transitioning, I feel like our life went different. It was nice in a way. Obviously, in the moment, it was not nice, but looking back, we've done more now than what we've ever thought we would, I think, and so we've able to live life. Our son came about after his injury. So it's definitely not where we thought we were gonna be or what, but it was a transition, and I don't know. I think from when he got hurt, I thought, okay, I'm gonna, once he's done needing me for everything, then I'll go back and do my nursing and start there. And then we had my son, and I was like, okay, another thing on hold. So for me, definitely life changed, but I am content where I am. And by no means, I just want to say, I know I sound like overly positive in it, and I don't want to make it sound like, oh, she just thinks everything's perfect, and it's not that way. I think just life transition in moments where I'm happy where I'm at. So I didn't do my career what I finished and think, but I'm in another stage of my life where I wanted to be as well. So
My let's see, who I was before I lived in this lifestyle. The lifestyle is very different. It's a whole different world. I was very much a socialite, very community service oriented, always out and about, running around with my head cut off, working all the time. Just a very busy person, but um, the transition into this lifestyle has been, I think, more difficult to me because there's no control. I don't have control. There's not a safety net. There's nothing. I don't know what to worry about. So worrying about everything, it creates a lot of fear and anxiety. And so you can learn tools that can change it, like the tools that I picked up of communication and really being honest, always honest, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. Then you can actually rely on somebody and rely on the partnership. I definitely am still a work in progress in my new lifestyle. I am not graceful at this at all whatsoever. I don't know what I'm doing most of the time. But I have been told, if you come from a place of love, you can't go wrong. So if I'm coming from love, I'm not coming from ego or pride or fear. Coming from love, I can't go wrong, and that's what I try to hold on to.
that's beautiful.
What an excellent statement, Cammy.
Yeah,
Love that.
Yeah, and Liana, when you had mentioned, everything is not all flowers and it's not perfect, it kind of I kind of thought of a question, and maybe not necessarily telling exactly what happened, but think about the deepest time that you had. What feelings were you feeling, or what emotions? What was going through your mind? Were you hopeless? Were you trying to be positive? What was kind of going on? It's a tough situation. And now it's a new life that you're trying to live.
I think it, without a doubt, definitely tough. And looking back now, I can't even believe we're about to hit 6 years from his injury. It's hard to believe that it's been that long already. And I kind of feel like that first year was honestly like a blur. So much happened. It was literally drastic. The morning of his injury, so he was in a car accident, and I was in the vehicle with him, and one of his soldiers was in the vehicle with us as well. And so going from, for him, he ran 4 miles in the morning to then being in the hospital at night and not even knowing what was going to happen to him. He instantly couldn't get out the vehicle, was instantly not able to walk or anything like that. So in those early moments, right, when it first happened, I don't want to say that I ever felt hopeless. I just felt like, what just happened? What do we do now? Definitely fear, definitely uncertainty, but never the question of things are not going to get better. I don't know how in the moment. I don't know, just so much uncertainty because you just didn't know what was going to happen. And I remember saying in my head after the next 2 days or something, what just happened to our life? everything just went like, what do we do from here? What happened? And then, you know, I think in the first few weeks we were just like, what do we do to get better? How do we go up from here? Like, I was about to start my career, like I said. He was about to be on you know, we were about to be moving soon. And not knowing what's going to happen with our life was absolutely scary. Not knowing how much function and what his life was going to look like was scary. But Joelle was always very positive. And again, I don't mean to sound like that, but that brought us through it. In fact, we had our bits of, you know, sadness and depression later on, and almost like a delayed kind of grieving of what happened. And so we kind of struggled more in the middle versus early on in the beginning, because we were so focused on, let's just do what we got to do to get better. Let's just figure out therapy and what that means. We didn't know if it was, like I said, he has a spinal cord injury. So, you know, there was talks of his spinal shock. We don't know what's going to come back. We don't know. We can't tell you if he's going to walk again or not. So it was just a time of uncertainty and fear. And again, I can't praise my family enough for supporting me through that time. And with them and their positivity around me, just trying to get through, what can we do to move on from here? Because it's a scary time. It's definitely a scary time. Your whole life changes in a flash, in 2 minutes. You know, your whole world is turned upside down. So what else do you do but try to figure out where to go in life? I don't know.
Gabby, can you ask the question again?
Yes. So it wasn't one I had written down. It was just, you know, not necessarily give us details of a situation, but like at the deepest time in your life with your significant other, what feelings or emotions were you going through?
At the deepest or darkest time?
Darkest.
Darkest. The darkest times were terrifying. It left like trauma on me, where and it was suicidal depression. And I didn't leave the house. I didn't leave him. I didn't trust anyone with him. I didn't trust God with him. Like, it turned toxic because I was so scared. And I didn't have anybody to reference. Like, I needed somebody to know, like, do you have a double amputee suicide vet? Like, what do I need to worry about? What don't I need to worry about? I didn't know, so I worried about everything. And it built a lot of fear and a lot of anxiety. And I needed to finally, after living like that for a year, I needed to go get in charge of my own mental health and get my own therapist and my own psychiatrist, so that I wasn't stagnant in hopelessness and helplessness. I think one of the biggest things that's difficult in these situations is pretending like you're normal, or like trying to be normal. Like, oh, yeah, I see these people and this is normal. No, you're not normal, and you're never going to be normal. And you can do your normal, but trying to compare and copy other people, it can become very toxic as well too.
Sorry, continue.
Sorry. So this is Kelly. I was just going to say those are pretty profound stories, and just hearing the fear and how you guys worked through it. I would love to talk a little more in a bit about possible different options for support systems. But at this juncture, I want to see if anybody else out there perhaps has any questions for Cami or Liani.
I have a question. This is Patrick. First, thank you, ladies. I mean, you're such an important part of all of our lives, and I appreciate you guys sharing today. The thing I noticed immediately was when you guys saw each other on this call, just that immediate bond, and it just kind of, that's my really question is, how is the caregiver community? I mean, obviously, you know, when you hear somebody else who struggles with some of the same things or has those same doubts, and you hear it, wow, it's not just me, that has to be helpful. But I mean, the look on you guys' face when you saw each other was just you can't really describe that. And so that love among the caregiver community is obviously there. How does that help you through this whole process?
I love that you felt that, and again, that's beautiful. I think exactly what you said. It's a great feeling, and what Cammie was touching on is knowing that, you know, someone else you meet and you instantly connect, like, oh, okay, like, geez, I'm not the only crazy one where my husband's just like, you need 1,000 things at one time, and I did a, you know, I'm definitely having that connection, and knowing that, you know, we can do it. And like Cammie said it great, you know, not everyone's story is going to be the same. Not everyone does have the same struggles, but knowing that we're all doing this caregiver role, we all have our own struggles, but we're together in this too. And, you know, picking up the phone, or when we see, you know, I met Cammie through adaptive sports with our husbands being, or, you know, in adaptive sports. And when I see her, we've met a handful of times, but we feel like we know each other for forever, I think. Just because you have that connection, that similarity, even if our lives are different, you know, his injuries are different from, you know, my husband's injuries, but we have that connection of, we're going through something, we have to do a lot of things at once, and having that support. Like, if you need something, I'm here. If you need to talk, I'm here. You know, Cammie wrote me the other day on a social media post, like, hey, if you need to talk, I'm here, you know. And so having that support is great. It's nice to see other people, and it's nice to see caregivers involved too with their significant others and doing stuff. You know, I think part of this whole talk, right, is Caregiver Month, and knowing that that's what we do. We're there to support the person we're caring for, and to see them flourish is an honor in us, in our role in their life. So I think that's awesome. Yeah.
I agree. There's something that happens, and Liana kicked on it. It was when you see another caregiver actively involved in participating in the person they're caring for life. There's like a kindred spirit. Like, I can be super frustrated and upset at something he's doing, and I can look over at Liana and she'll be like, and I'll be like, oh, okay, and all my anger will just drain from me. It's like I'm heard or I'm seen. And a lot of times, being a caregiver, you're kind of invisible.
Right, for sure.
Well, thank you, ladies. That's amazing.
Anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, this is Bobby. Hey, so I'll tell you, both you ladies are pretty amazing, pretty inspirational with the way you put up with some of the challenges and got through them. One of the things that the peer support coordinators work with, they have what's called a virtual forum. So something like this, where it brings together caregivers, where they're able to talk about challenges that they've gone through, some of the resources that they've used to help them through tough times and stuff like that. So after this, if I can get your emails and stuff, I'll get them from either Kelly or Gabby, and I'm going to send you the forms. That way you can kind of get in touch with other caregivers that might be able to help you with certain things. Another thing, you talked about resilience, and that's a big thing right there. Do you guys have me time where it's just me that somebody's able to take care of your significant other? And I see a bunch of heads going like this already, but is there a chance that you can get that me time just to kind of refresh?
Can I show you guys proof? I was out here doing a call, right? And my little one just showed up. No. Yes and no. I would say, like, again, we talk about, right, different stages, because I know, like, you know, there's other caregivers that may be listening here. And for me, initially, no, like, there were programs that were offered to me, like, hey, caregiver respite retreat. And I'm like, yeah, that's beautiful, but who's going to care for my husband while I'm away? Like, that's great and beautiful that you guys want to do this, but who cares for him? Because I can't go on my own. And you know, in that stage of initial injury, first 2 years maybe, where he needed me, you know, every few minutes. Now transitioning, like I said, you guys have heard me already mention a bunch of times, you know, my family is here, and their stages of, you know, my mom worked a ton and in my husband's initial injury. Now she doesn't, so she's able to be involved more. Do I get my few hours of going to, you know, grocery store and doing all that? Yes, but not like on a wait time. But I think that's also something that's like how the person is. I am very much family oriented. So when I'm away from my family, I feel very weird. But I think it's because I also don't get that me time all the time. So am I able to get it? Yes and no. Like I feel like yes, there's programs available, but can I actually leave? Do I feel safe leaving for, you know, X amount of time? I guess that's the thing.
I'd have to say a very similar answer. There's in the stages, the thing that you bring up in the stages is perfect because the first year, yeah, absolutely, I could have me time. Year 2 and 3 and 4, no, I couldn't, not until recently. It's like when what they need, when they need what they need, that's what is provided. So on a wonderful caregiver class I took, we had different options. So there was like these jars, and if you had a 5-minute jar, a 10-minute jar, a half an hour jar, and an hour jar. And so on popsicle sticks, you write down like a 5-minute thing you can do, or like a 10-minute or a 30-minute, like start laundry or do whatever. So it was like a forced self-care, but also still could be done with chores. But it was something to where at least I'm giving a little bit of myself some time every day throughout the day.
Thank you.
The respite is wonderful and it's nice. However, there is nobody that is going to be able to come in that's not going to stress him out of somebody that's new. And when you need it the most, that's usually not the time to do it. I've never used respite. I don't know if we ever will. I've had a couple of his friends come. I've flown them across the country before to come and stay with us for a couple weeks or a month. But that's what you do.
Right.
I think that's a good option. It sounds to me like what I heard from you guys a lot is it's just too scary. You're too uncomfortable. You don't trust really somebody else to be able to be there for them. And that's a hard thing, I think, to combat. But I like that, Cammie. I like that solution. Bring somebody else in. And I think, Liana, your family's there too. So even if you're not personally removing yourself from the situation, at least you have many other people there to assist you. So you're not, because the other thing I feel like I keep hearing a lot too is you feel alone, like a lot of it's on your shoulders, at least at first.
Right, definitely.
So like at first when you really don't know, I guess my question for Bobby, Cammie, Liani, for those caregivers out there who are maybe in that first stage and, you know, like you said, Cammie, when you went home and you didn't know what to worry about, what not to worry about. So what would you recommend to them in that stage to help them right then, to talk to who?
I think what Cammie said is great, you know, finding those few minutes, even if it's like, you know, 30 minutes of working out on your own, going for a walk, like you're going to be okay for 30 minutes. Whatever your injury it is, whatever it is, you will be okay for 30 minutes. For me to go out and get a walk, you will be okay. And even if, you know, I just want to touch base on even, you know, again, everybody's situation is different. So maybe you're confident leaving your significant other, but they aren't, you know, maybe they're the ones who don't feel like for one, like after like maybe the first 2 years, my husband's like, I'm not new anymore. Like, stop. I'm like, oh, you know, he's a new injury. Like, he's like, I'm not anymore. Like, stop. I'm like, no, you are, compared to like when he was first playing sports, his friends were hurt for 10, 15 years. They've been doing this for forever. And I'm like, oh, he's still new. He's a baby. But he's like, I'm fine. Like, I already got this down. I can do this already. And it's more me that's like, do you still need help? Do you still need this? Do you still need that? But finding those little moments of your time, whatever it may be. Like I said, for me at this point, this stage that I'm at right now, leaving my son and my husband, like, you guys will be okay in the backyard. I'm going grocery shopping. I'm okay. That's my mental health of, I want to go grocery shopping by myself. I don't want my son saying, mommy, I want this. I don't want my husband like, oh, I'll push this, dropping stuff over, which I mean, he's very capable. You know, where he was before is nowhere where he is now. He's very capable. And my caregiver duties have lessened way more than what they were, you know, at different times. And it, of course, things happen. If he's not feeling under the weather, he needs more help. If we're in a location where he can't do, you know, he needs way more help. But finding that me time, working out, cooking, organizing your stuff, rearranging your closet, whatever you do, take that moment for you, 5-10 minutes, an hour, and realizing and communicating, whether it's you or the person you're caring for, that you're going to be okay, because your mental health has to matter. And I think initially we don't want to believe that. Depending on your personality, my personality is very like, I got this. I don't need anybody. I got this. I'm okay. I'm not stressed. But you don't realize the stress building. And I know my personality. I don't need anybody. I do need people. I need my family 100%, but I will still fight my mom to the end. Like, I'm good. I don't need it. I don't need it. I do need it. I need their help. I need them to just be there in case I need them, even if I don't, you know? And so realizing that everybody needs their self-care, everybody. Do we take it? We may even realize, like, I know that I need it. Do I do it? No, but I know that I need it. But I
Sure.
don't always do it. But I think that's like the first step of realizing, okay, you know what? I need to take me time. I need to do whatever it is for me. Go get your nails done, get a massage, something. You're going to be okay, and they're going to be okay.
I'd have to agree. Definitely instilling that you're okay, it's okay. Everything that's positive is reinforcing. You can do it. I mean, the push of confidence and faith that you have in them is tremendous. One of the best things for my mindset that I learned from study is let their successes be their successes and their failures be their failures. And in that sentence, I don't have anything to do with it. So that starts to relieve stress and anxiety off of my back, because if I'm supporting the way they want it to look, then what happened?
You there, Cammie?
Yeah, did I lose you?
There we go. Now I got you back.
What did you last hear?
I heard successes and failures and not all on your shoulders.
Right. It takes more of the anxiety and the stress out of it, but it also opens communication too.
Oh yeah. So I like that. What do you think of that, Liani?
I mean, I think for sure I would have to agree. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of empowers. It seems like a balancing act to you guys. A tightrope you guys walk a lot.
Yeah.
This is Patrick again. How is it, like when you have that first time that you said, okay, I'm going to go to the grocery store, and you come back and they're okay? It sounds like it's always going to be a continued like growth, or learning how to trust yourself, or learning how to trust them, and going, okay, nothing happened, so maybe next time you'll be able to feel more comfortable with it. Is that just kind of a common thing, a constant learning and growing? I know when I had my injury, it was, yay, I can go walk outside. Okay, yay, I can actually get out of the chair. And having those small victories, do you feel like you celebrate those victories when you are able to see those independence coming back? Kind of like when your child's able to ride their bike the first time, I'm sure it's like, yay, you did it. But before that, there were lots of falls.
Right. Absolutely. I think it goes from like, I'm going to the grocery store for 10 minutes. I'll be back. Look, it's going to take me 5 minutes there, 5 minutes back. Now I'm like, oh, I'm in the, you know what? There was a sale at the shoe store and I was there for an hour. Babe, where are you? I'm coming now. You're going to be okay. Look, I'll bring food. You're going to have, definitely you go through increment. And I think that's the way it should be. You have to build that trust within yourself and the person you're caring for, and it definitely doesn't make you a bad caregiver. It doesn't mean like, oh, they no longer need a caregiver. Because I feel like, especially in the role of like, in the veteran role and stuff like that, it's like that finally like, oh, well, he doesn't need you if you're gone for an hour. No, that's not the case. It's just that I also need this time for me. We need this stuff in the house, and he's gonna be okay. If he's hungry, he's gonna have to wait a little bit. If obviously medically stuff, absolutely not. You're made sure medications, all that stuff. I hate to compare it, but it's like caring for a kid. You're not gonna let the bike roll. You want your kid to learn to get on that bike. You're gonna set him up for success. You're gonna make sure he has his helmet, his knee pads. We're practicing in the right spot. You have to take all those steps to get there. But once he's on that bike and he's going, you have to let him go too. You have to let him to be successful in his own too. And you're still gonna be there. We say that as my son's riding this scooter that he just got now, and now he's gone. He's in the street. We're watching him everywhere. It's definitely. I think that's a great example. But you have to celebrate those successes and build on them. Continue to build on them. You have to be a constant growing and getting better within yourself as a caregiver and what you want for the person you're caring for as well.
Awesome.
That's beautiful. I can't elaborate on that. I have one more thing. So, my guy has a traumatic brain injury. So that's when the forgetfulness and the impulse control goes out the window. So, it's not the time and the build of trust there. It's kind of like, where is he that day with his injury? How conscious is he? How can he collect his thoughts and his sentences and like utilize them? Those kinds of things. There's several arguments we have over and over again because he forgets how we solved it. There's like the constant dance around, but he's amazing. He actually did this mindset treatment. So it's a magnetic stimulation to 3 portions of the brain. And I gotta tell you, that opened up a whole new world for us with him being able to communicate, organize his thoughts, and be independent on his own and be like completely trustworthy. So it's kind of like the tools that are out there and the ones that you find that work for you. But always keep looking for those. Always keep looking for the tools and the improvements and the growth, because once the hope and the dreams and the stuff kind of dies, stagnant comes in, complacency comes in, and even though they make sure that happens, they don't like being there.
Right.
The other one,
an amazing point.
The other ones were forever I used to try to have him avoid conflict or disappointment, or like I would work everything out so it was easy for him. And it was a complete opposite. 3 years it took me to learn it was a complete opposite, that he needed problems and he needed to be able to solve problems. That made him feel like a man, that made him feel empowered, and I was ruining it. So that's a good one to put out there.
Right. It's definitely a learning experience, like I said, for both, for you and the person you're caring for. And you both have to grow separately. And then if you're a couple, together, because obviously, being, especially when that line of caregiver and relationship, where it's at,
Yeah, our biggest goal is to get out of the caregiver mindset.
Right.
He does not need to have me in my caregiver mindset. That's like a threat. Like, don't make me put on my caregiver mindset. Like, because it's not conducive. My best thing is to get him as independent and supported as possible. And he thrives.
I just have to say, you ladies are tremendous. I mean, the amount of admiration and respect, I just, you really, it's just incredible. And I want to say thank you so much for offering all of this advice to us and all the caregivers out there. Is there anything right now, you guys are seeking some assistance? That I know we have Bobby on the line. He might have some resources for you guys.
Bobby, did you check on the thing I asked about on the job?
On the dog?
Job.
Oh,
The
job.
like
I
the
was
work
gonna
from
say,
home stuff.
Gotcha. So I know Amazon has a program that's going on right now, and they've been doing it in the past. But like I said, I got the Caregiver Resource Directory on there. It has a lot of employment information on there on some of the organizations that help caregivers and veterans find different positions. And what I'll do is I'll send that to you again. I'm sure Kelly will send me your guys' emails, and I'll send them both to you. That way you can have an idea of what's out there. And it, like I said, it just doesn't have employment stuff on there. It has stuff for educational needs, financial, behavioral health, stuff like that to help you out. But I will send that out to you. But like I said, Amazon has a program that's out there to help with physicians working at home.
Oh, okay.
That's
Okay.
excellent.
Yes.
Actually, I have a question. This is LJ, and it's as caregivers, when you were in that initial stage of accepting or realizing that your life is changing, were there folks like Bobby, or was there a system? How did you? What's your impression of the system that you kind of were introduced to, and some of the things, pros and cons that helped with the transition into the situation, or were there things that you can look back on now and go like that missed the mark completely?
That's a good question. Again, I'll answer with, for me, the initial first year was kind of a blur, and I felt like everything was about him. So whenever there was that respite or thing, I was probably like, I recall them being available, one or two, but I feel like I was so focused on what he needed that I wasn't worried about myself. Would maybe being more encouraged to like, no, you really need to do this. And, their nursing staff does, try to say like, hey, as couples, leave the caregiver and spouse role, a spouse. Maybe if it was like, hey, you really need to do this, having a different option of initial, like, maybe you can both go to the respite care and take that hour. He can stay in the room and you can take that hour to do like a little class, kind of like what we were saying, being at home. Like at home, he's in his safe space, so everything is okay for him at home. So I feel comfortable leaving him because I know everything around, right? So if there was a respite where we could both go in the initial, but I can leave him in the hotel for an hour and do that class or do that little retreat, do that whatever they offer, and then I can come back and care for him and have my moment with being that secure. I think that for me and how I was in that moment where I was in life and his initial injury would have worked for me. I can understand why they don't want to do that sometimes. It's completely understandable. They want to focus on the caregiver, which is great and it's beautiful, but I think a lot of caregivers feel that they can't do that. And I do feel like it was offered to me. I could recall a certain foundation that was so great of continuing to offer it to me and I just felt like I couldn't do it. I didn't want to leave him. We did have family. His mom was very involved too in the initial, but the way I felt, I couldn't do it. And then after that, our life got so busy that we did so many sports. We were traveling so very much. Our life we hit the ground running and kept going. And so it was like, there's never time for that. I don't have time to go do that. I'm doing this now. We're in this city. We're doing this sport. We're doing that. So whenever it was offered, I was already too busy doing something else. I do think that they do offer it, but again, going back to that, not feeling like you can leave or not being able to leave because of mental health issues or because of care, you don't feel like you can go.
I agree with Liana 100%. The things that were offered, not a lot offered to me, but we went on a Purple Heart cruise and they had different stuff for the caregiver and the veteran. That was nice. So we could both be there and enjoying something, but then also on the cruise, it was really hard because they told me to just relax. Like there was no itinerary or plan and they told me to relax. And I asked them, how do you do that? Because I don't know, like I need to have something to do or prepare for the next thing we're going to do. Or yeah, it was kind of humorous, but the respite and the care outside of that, he's not at a stage where he needs that anymore, but when there was a stage, it was too unsure, it was too unsafe. I didn't give up that control.
Well, I definitely wanted to thank you both. And before we end, just, what general advice would you give to a caregiver, whether they were brand new or this has been like their 15th year doing this, whether they're military, non-military, just some general advice.
I think just trying to stay positive, you know that every day is not going to be easy. You're going to have your ups and downs, no matter what. All of this stuff sometimes sounds cliche, like, oh, there's no way. I'm involved in social media groups sometimes, and I see caregivers that are like, I can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. And it's very hard. It's very hard when you have 100 falls. It's very hard when you have, accidents and stuff that happens, medical needs, mental problems. All of that is hard. But I think knowing that, even without the injury, we all have hard parts in our life, and knowing that it's going to get better. Find the support you need. Maybe that's one friend, maybe that's one family member, maybe that's a resource. Learn from our experiences of not taking that respite when we need it, and going through that struggle. Know that, things, you build on what you learn little by little. Learn from other people. There's so many things that my husband learned from being involved in adaptive sports, and we cannot give adaptive sports more praise. His life wouldn't be where it's at right now if it weren't for adaptive sports. I can say that 100%. And while I'm talking about that, I want to, give a little kudos. Today, they just put out an article for him in a mobility thing, and I'm like gonna cry, right? Because it's amazing to see. Like I said, we're about to come up on 6 years. There's no way I would have thought 6 years ago that we would be where we are right now, that we can pick up and just go do something, go to another city, go to another country, do whatever it is that you want. Anything is possible. It's hard. You have to wake up every day and want to do that. You have to be encouraging for yourself and for the person you're caring for. Feed into them mentally, but also take care of you. I know Cammie's going to touch on that, because that's so important. And if you have a personality like mine, that you're like, I'm fine, everything's fine, know that at some point you're going to need help. And some of us don't have that family support. Some of us don't have that friend support. Then find it where you can. Reach out, find another caregiver that's going through what you're going through. Maybe they're not going through it anymore, and they've passed it. They can help you. Maybe they're going through something, even though they've been doing this for 10 years and you just started. Maybe you can help them. You never know, and you learn so much from other people. And it doesn't have to be a respite thing. You learn through adaptive sports, and it's life-changing. So just try to stay positive, stay encouraged, support one another. Let the person you're caring for know that you need to be supported. Maybe they can't support you in the way they did prior to their injury, but know that you need emotional support. You need whatever it may be. Communication is so very important, and I think everybody struggles with that. But it's important to have that, because that's when things, I think, for me, start getting into a blur. We're not communicating our needs, or the person we're caring for is not communicating how they want and where they see their life or what they need for that next challenge. So just try to stay positive even when it sucks, like I said, because there's definitely moments, but try to stay encouraged. Yeah.
That's beautiful. I just want to add in there that I just even forgot. Add in there the support and make decisions out of love, and then breathe. My most important thing to remember is I will react to things immediately. It's not to react, but step into action. So like your instinct plus your choice equals your desired result. And that's my formula every day. I had to break it down into a formula, but do whatever you need to do. So I also do a lot of I lost a lot of friends since being in this relationship. A lot of people don't understand. They can't understand why you can't go out, or why you need to do something, or why you can't call, or there's it's frustrating, and it can affect your self-worth and your self-esteem greatly. Do things that are good for yourself. And I do YouTube videos. So I think I'm going to learn Taekwondo next. I've been doing yoga. I've been doing a whole bunch of different stuff. So feeding my soul any way possible, I would encourage you all to do the same.
For sure. Very
Beautiful. Thank you so much, ladies. We really appreciate hearing from you. Kelly and I are so forever thankful, and I'm sure everyone else on here is as well. Kelly, do you have anything to add?
Not really, ladies. Thank you. I look forward to collaborating with you guys some more. Of course, talking with you, Cami, as always, and Liani, it's been wonderful to meet you. And we will definitely make sure Bobby has your contact information to link up with you guys and connect you to some of those resources and expand that caregiver community, because you guys definitely be assets.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for doing this.
Thank you, ladies.
Tell Lovey I say hi.
I will. Look at you. Shut up. This man's here too.
It's
We got a mask on. Listen, it's crazy times. We're trying, again, make the best of it. It's definitely a crazy time for everybody. But
We're on your time,
she
Tammy.
knows that already. She's waiting for us. We'll see you tonight. I'm just kidding. All right, guys. Take care, everybody.
All right. Have a great afternoon, everybody. Bye.